Okay, so this thing with DoorDash and tipping, it's just totally gotten out of control and it doesn't seem like it's ending anytime soon. If you haven't heard about it, recently DoorDash has started prompting customers who zero out the tip that their deliveries might take longer. I even saw a story today that says it's a policy change and it makes it sound like DoorDash is purposely slowing down orders if you don't tip. So I made a video on this earlier in the week and I don't think I covered it or explained it at all properly, and that's on me. So in this video, I'm going to explain why the orders take longer if you don't tip and how DoorDash drivers are actually paid, and tell you that they can't actually see if you're tipping or not. So the whole thing is going to make sense by the end of this video, so just stick with me. Okay, so first and foremost, DoorDash has not made a policy change. Well, except that now they're being forthright or honest with the customers by saying if you don't tip, it's going to take longer. But the way that we're paid hasn't changed. And DoorDash hasn't instituted a policy where they're slowing down no tipping orders. Here's why it takes longer for your delivery to get there if you don't tip. Most DoorDash drivers are paid in this fashion. They log into the app, and as they're driving around, a message pops up, something like this message here, and it says, deliver this food and deliver it for X amount of money. It doesn't say this is how much we're going to pay you and this is how much the tip is. It's just a dollar amount. And if it says $2.50, that's first of all not a lot of money, but second of all, a DoorDash driver knows that that's the lowest possible base rate that DoorDash will pay. So if an order comes in and it's $2.50, they know that there's no tip. That's all they're going to get is $2.50 for running that delivery. So why does it take longer if you don't tip? And I'm going to talk about desire a lot in these videos because it comes down to desire. An order isn't very desirable at $2.50. And there's a ton of variables involved as well too. How close you are to the restaurant, how close the customer is to the restaurant, how many dashers are idle versus how many dashers are busy. All those things change constantly. So when you place an order, DoorDash knows that it can try to get the optimal conditions. But ultimately, at no tip and $2.50, they might offer it to everybody, and everybody has the right to decline it. That's something I should have said first. DoorDash drivers can decline orders with no consequence. They can decline every order and they can still keep their job. They won't make any money, but they keep their job. So your no tip order is going to get declined in favor of somebody who has tipped. Like, let's say even if you only tip $2.50, now it's $5 to go a mile or two versus $2.50. It's a big difference. You've got all these variables and you've got an undesirable order that has been offered to the entire universe of dashers in the area. Now DoorDash knows it's got to either up the base pay to more and try re-offering it. They're trying to get this food delivered, so they're increasing the base pay. But sometimes it just takes, if they're only increasing it 50 cents at a time or 25 cents at a time, it's going to take a while before it's desirable. So what are some tricks that DoorDash uses to actually get these no-tip orders delivered? Well, most recently, and what's causing all this press, is they're actually telling you, if you don't tip, it's going to take a while. But they've had tricks before that they've been using. One of them is the hourly rate. In some areas, some parts of the country, DoorDash drivers can choose to dash by the hour. In other words, when an offer is presented, they don't know how much it's going to get paid. They know that they're going to make X amount of money, let's just say $13 an hour, from the time they accept the order until the time they drop off the order. In other words, they're not paying $13 an hour while they're cruising around town, but they are getting $13 an hour from the time they accept until the time that they drop. The problem is, like I said, those drivers have no idea if they're going to get tipped. In a generous zone, like where I live, most people tip. I'd say 90% of my customers tip. So I actually like doing the earn by time. And I do it almost exclusively because even if I don't get tipped, I'm okay with it because it takes approximately 11 minutes to get up to $2.50, which is the minimum base rate. But most of my deliveries take about 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes to deliver. So I know I'm going to be making more than that, even if they don't tip, more than the $2.50. And also it takes the stress out if I have to wait. If there's any type of a delay or wait, or I get stuck in traffic or the restaurant isn't ready, I'm still getting paid that hourly rate. So DoorDash uses those hourly drivers to get rid of the undesirable orders. Some people actually say that DoorDash purposely sends those drivers the no-tip orders, but that's not exactly what's happening. What's happening is a no-tip order gets presented to all the drivers that are out there earning by order, or they're earning by the offer, and they all decline it. Let's say there's, just for an example, 10 drivers out there earning by offer, and they all decline that $2.50 offer. But there's one guy, maybe me, who's out there working by the hour, and he gets presented it. He doesn't know that there's no tip, so he takes it, and it gets delivered that way. Another method that DoorDash has just recently started using to get no-tip orders or less desirable orders delivered is streaks. And what a streak is it's a string of orders together with an incentive at the end. And in order to string them together, you can't sign off during that period of time. You can't decline an order during that time. You have to have 5 consecutive deliveries in a row completed with no declines and no sign-offs, and it's also usually in a predetermined period of time. These streaks aren't really that easy to get in my area because it's kind of slow. In other areas it might be easier. But you have to accept 5 orders in, like, let's say 3 hours, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for example. Now, once you get to your second or third together strong order, DoorDash knows this. DoorDash knows you're going for the streak. So it's in their best interest to send you something that's not desirable because they know that, oh, we're paying him at the end of that. DoorDash is going to pay this DoorDasher $8 incentive if they complete the 5 delivery streak. So what I've noticed, and I've done 2 of these streaks earning by the hour. I'm going to do one today, earning by offer, and see if I can do it any better. But really, I don't think I can, because once you start stringing together the orders, they're going to send you less desirable orders because they know they're paying you at the end of the streak and they know you want that bounty. In fact, here's an example of my last 2 streaks. You can see that in the first one, the tips were very bad. I've had 3 out of 5 customers have a 0 tip on the delivery. I really only made about $30 in 3 hours of work. That's not very good. Now the second streak was a little different. There were some no tippers in there, but I had 3 deliveries done and they sent me a stacked order. Well, stacks work out because if I complete the 2 deliveries as part of that stacked, it's 2 deliveries at once, that completed out my delivery. And actually the last 2 people tipped. One tipped, I think, $2.50 and the other one tipped $2.50 or $3 also. So that worked out to be a little bit better of a day. But the orders still weren't desirable. There was still a no tipper in there as well too. One last method that DoorDash can use to get no-tip orders delivered is called the stack. And what the stack is after they've offered your no-tip order to the universe of Dashers and no one seems to be taking it, and the hourly people aren't out there or they're not taking it, they'll wait for another order to come in from that same store or from a store that's very close, that's going in the same general direction, that is desirable, that has a tip. And then they'll assign those 2 orders together. Or sometimes they'll get tricky and they'll assign that first order to you and you'll take it. And then while you're there, they'll pop up a screen that says, hey, for an extra $2 or $3, would you be willing to take this order? That second add-on order is usually the less desirable one. But ultimately, when that happens to me, I get what's happening and I figured, well, if it's along the way, what do I care? You know, I'm already making my $8. Why not add this no tip $2 order to it and get it delivered? I mean, the customer needs their food too. And people have reasons for not tipping. I'm not trying to be judgy in this video. I'm just trying to explain what DoorDash is doing and the methodologies that they're employing to try and get orders delivered. The stack, the string, the pay by hour, and of course encouraging customers to add a tip so that their order doesn't get delayed. I want to stress that this is not a policy change. Again, this is how it has always been for years. People that don't tip or orders that are not desirable will get declined by drivers and it will take longer for them to get delivered. We don't see the tip. We can't stress that enough. We can't tell for sure how much the tip is going to be. But we know that you're probably not tipping if we're only getting $2.50. I've heard some people say as a result of this backlash from DoorDash that why isn't DoorDash just paying us a fair salary? And I kind of get that. DoorDash, it should be their responsibility to pay us, not the customer's responsibility. But you have to understand a capitalistic business system. DoorDash wouldn't actually pay us more. What would happen is DoorDash would pass along any cost that it has, whether it's my salary or operational costs or whatever, to the customer. So if DoorDash started paying me more, DoorDash is going to start charging you more. I hope this cleared things up. I hope it explained how Dashers are paid and why a no-tip order takes longer. It's the simple fact that we know how much we're going to make beforehand, and if we know how much we're going to make, we're probably not going to take orders that don't have tips. The exception being if I'm working by the hour, I can't see the tip, and streaks, where even though I know it's a less desirable offer, I'm trying to get a bounty at the end by stringing orders together. Thanks for watching. Sidekick Guy out.